What is intent-based automation for enterprises and utilities? Intent-based automation is all about automation. It has a lot to do about abstraction. It has a lot about network as a code. When you look at new technologies that are emerging around cloud-based applications, when you look at Industry 4.0, when you look at what telcos and enterprises are doing today, it's all about having an open operating system that is customizable and be able to use. The way how Nokia is addressing that today, we're bringing all the capability that the web scalers were using before in the cloud space before. We're making it simple as reliable to be able to be applied for the utilities today. Why is intent-based important for the utilities? It is important to them in a way that having to address from intent-based into a scalable, single, multiple racks in the data center or in the substations as well. A way for them to be able to simplify their implementation, minimize operations, and then be able to improve some of the reliability in that space as well. So how the utilities had to prepare for automation and intent-based inside the data centers today. So they need to be able to get some of the resources up to speed, having some of the same ways how they're doing on the application side. They have multiple teams that address how to build their own applications, how to be able to address CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development for some of the applications they have today. They had to apply the same fundamentals into the networking side. That's what we're bringing. That's what Nokia is bringing into the space right now. We're bringing the same capabilities into the space, into the networking side. We're providing a bridge between the networking space and the application side in that space. That means that the network engineer who before was doing manual implementation in some of the configurations and things like that, they need to be able to get up to speed on how to be able to do things like network as a code. They may need to be able to improve some of the capabilities for Python to do some of the scripting. Since our operating system is completely open, so people can actually create via Python, they can create some CLIs to minimize when you're doing a maintenance window that they can do 10, 15, 20 different commands in a maintenance window. They can reduce that with 2 or 3 commands that will open our operating system that they can create their own CLI there as well. So there's some capability that they need to be able to address to improve their resources, get some knowledge on that space as well. But I think that's the main area they need to address from that point of view. Today, the way in the space, they're looking for digitizing all the substations today. As we're looking at today, they're looking in that space to bring in some compute into that space. I'll look at it more in the space of what telcos were doing before. They're doing some remote data centers. There could be a single rack. There can be 2, 3, 6 racks in that space. To me, it looks more like a remote data center from that space. You can have a single networking switch in that space. You can have multiples of those, that's this as well. You're gonna need, based on some of the applications you have to be able, how the workload needs to be applicable in that space. You need to be able to have a controller or an automation piece to be able to do that in the space there as well. So why Nokia is important in the data center? So there are multiple areas that needs to be addressed. One is reliability. We're bringing all of our expertise from quality, from all the processes from our SROS operating system into our new operating system into the data center called SR Linux. So the same quality is being brought into that space. We don't have to start from scratch. The next one is openness. Our whole operating system is wide open. If a utility company or an enterprise have the capabilities and the resources, they have the ability to make changes, create their own CLI, bring new applications into that space as well. It doesn't have to necessarily reside into a server. It can be brought into the switch directly as well. Like I mentioned just now, bringing applications into the space as well is another area that can be addressable. It's very unique on how we're addressing that into our switches compared to other vendors in the space as well. And the last one is about our controller. We're bringing, in a simple way, we're bringing most of the capabilities that the cloud providers and the web scalers been doing this for a while. We make it as simple and reliable as possible for our customers to be able to take the same capabilities into our solution and be applicable into their space. So how the utilities need to be able to take some of the capabilities that hyperscalers and web scalers are doing today and some of the tools that they're utilizing today. For them to be able to modernize some of the equipment that they have today, not only modernizing, but also needs to be fully reliable from that point of view as well, okay? They need to be able to take some of the capabilities that the hyperscalers and the web scalers are doing today, but they don't have the resources to do that. What we've been able to do is to be able to elevate and include that into our solution, to be able to simplify and implement that same capabilities, but now it's based in a GUI environment with specific templates that can be applicable to them and bring all the intent-based automation. Remember, I mentioned earlier, network as a code, that they can actually bring into that space there as well. Utilities should consider Nokia in the data center because we bring some of the resources and capabilities from the web scalers and hyperscalers in that space. We're simplifying all the resources into our tools to make it more acceptable and keep reliability in that space.